How do we ensure that we're creating safe spaces for those around us? Right now, we're in states of high anxiety and uncertainty. And when we're in these kind of states, it's very difficult to maintain open communication lines. We may find ourselves experiencing moments of tension and communication breakdown. Oftentimes, we try to find ways to repair the relationship, but sometimes the relationship might be very difficult to repair at moments like those. A lot of times, when we're trying to deal with issues, we face them more from a cognitive perspective. And by cognitive, I mean we become more logical with how we deal with situations. So, I want to take a different turn and kind of bring in our nervous system. Our brain and nervous system work hand in hand to detect cues of safety and cues of danger in our environment. When I talk about the nervous system, I'm referring to the autonomic nervous system, the one that we know for our fight, flight, and freeze responses. I also want to bring your awareness to another nerve that is known as the ventral vagus nerve. This nerve is also known as the social engagement system. The ventral vagus nerve, or the connection nerve, connects to muscles in our face or facial muscles, middle ear, and the larynx. When this nerve is activated, we experience moments of connection and being social. We tune out noise in our environment and we can engage in conversations that are meaningful. When this nerve is also activated, we find it very easy to make a choice at that moment in time. However, there are moments that we experience disruption in our nervous system. Now, I just want to bring to your awareness that our nervous system, when it's detecting cues of safety and cues of danger, it often happens outside of our awareness. And so, a lot of times when we become triggered by an event or by a person or by a thing, we notice the triggers more from a bodily perspective or from bodily sensations that we experience. I'm going to use the analogy of a ladder. My ladder has 3 different levels of how our nervous system is constantly scanning cues of safety and cues of danger in our environment. I'm going to use the example of my husband, for example. Say, for example, our ventral vagus nerve is stimulated. We are having a very good conversation, we are laughing, we are responding to each other's smiles, we are probably nodding to each other's conversations. And say, for example, he receives a text that takes his attention away from me. Now, depending on the importance of the conversation, I may take some offense. Probably. It depends. And I might find myself now moving to a more of a fight or flight response. And I notice that I start to feel angry in my body. I notice that my breathing becomes more. I notice that my muscles start to get tight. And now I even start becoming more aggressive. And I ask him, hey, who's texted you and why are you touching your phone at this moment when we're trying to connect? Now, his response, because now he's seeing that I'm angry and he's seeing that my face has moved from a point of being social and connected to him to a place where now I'm starting to scowl and there are lines all over my face and he can see that now I'm starting to become more angry. Now I've kind of probably triggered a response from him where he now starts to feel like, hey, Kwani, I can't check my phone. You know how it goes. And so we'll go back and forth, back and forth. We start blaming each other. We start saying, oh, yeah, all the time when we're having a good conversation, it feels like you're not even listening to me most of the time. You start bringing in conversations that were like 10 years back and he probably even forgot about it. Ladies, you know what I'm talking about. And so if I feel like my needs are not met or his needs are not met, one of us might move to a place of disconnection. And so our dorsal vagal nerve has been stimulated. I might begin to feel withdrawn or disconnected from my partner. So both of us are in states of dysregulation. And when we're in these states of dysregulation, fight, flight, or disconnect or freeze, it's very difficult to hold a conversation with each other. Remember that our brain and our nervous system are connected. And so, if we are both in states of dysregulation, our thinking brain has shut off because now we are perceiving danger in our environment. If we continue blaming each other and using passive aggressive communication, we begin to lengthen and destroy the lines of communication. And relationships are meant to connect us. They're meant to help us regulate. We often learn how to regulate ourselves when we have the ability to co-regulate with those around us. That's how children learn how to regulate their own emotions, because they learn this from their parents. Our bodies have a lot of wisdom to teach us. Whenever we begin to feel reactive to a situation, take a moment to just stop. Stop and notice what's going on in your body. Remember that your nervous system and your brain is trying to make sense of what's going on in the environment. Take a deep sigh, and not the sigh for like, oh boy, here we go again, because then you'll be triggering a response from your partner. Take a deep sigh to try and calm down your nervous system. If you find it very difficult to regulate yourself in the presence of your partner, excuse yourself, go to the washroom, take a few deep breaths, wash your face if you need to. You can also get for yourself and your partner a glass of water. Water is known to stimulate a parasympathetic response or relaxation response in our bodies. If your partner is not willing to have a conversation at that moment, give each other time and space, but communicate and say, hey, I noticed that you're feeling a bit angry about the situation. Do you want to talk about it? If your partner likes to be held or touched, reach out to them. But there are times when your partner or you yourself may not be ready to have that conversation at that moment in time. Communicate about it. Let your partner know that you're probably not ready to talk about it right now, to give you a few seconds because you're feeling triggered. And when you're in that state, it's very difficult to make a decision. There's so many ways we can learn how to repair our relationships, but this is a process, and it needs the wisdom of two nervous systems to learn how to develop safe relationships. I hope these tips help, and we'll be looking into other ways we can learn how to self-regulate and co-regulate with other people in our homes, in our workplaces, and in our neighborhoods and communities.